Welcome to R&R Livin' Life. In this episode, Rick and I leave Wodonga and make our way along the Murray Valley Highway and many other roads before making camp at Tungamah Lions RV Park for the night. On our way out of Wodonga, we pass La Trobe University Albury-Wodonga campus and then on through Browns Plains. Although never formally established as a town, the settlement of Browns Plains in the Indigo Council area has maintained its agricultural character and farming community origins. The Browns Plains Avenue of Honour was planted in July 1920 to commemorate those who served in the First World War, with approximately 30 oak trees established, but over time and neglect the trees have suffered and declined in number. But the site has been rejuvenated with replacement trees propagated from the original oaks. On our travels we have passed a number of avenues of trees, featuring native species like eucalypts, while others were exotic trees such as elms, oaks, pines and even palms, as living memorials, most commonly established after World War I, though sadly not all have been in great condition. The original decision to have a living reminder as a memorial to the sacrifice and suffering of servicemen and women, particularly in World War I, when bodies were not always returned to Australia, was such a dignified idea at the time, often organised by women and the families of servicemen, with communities shaping these physical landscapes. Environmental conditions have played a small part in the survival of the trees, but I also think neglect has played its part as communities have shrunk over the time. We passed a number of wineries before catching sight of the wine bottle, aka the town's historic water tower, since 1900. In 1969, a mesh top was added to resemble a wine bottle, celebrating the region's rich winemaking heritage. The historic rural town of Rutherglen is located between Wodonga and Yarrawonga, just 10 kilometres from the Murray River. In the early to mid-1800s, the area around Rutherglen was an important grazing area. The discovery of gold in September 1860 saw the town grow, with several churches built, a school and a post office in 1863. After the gold rush, Rutherglen eventually achieved prosperity as an agricultural town, subsequently establishing itself as one of Victoria's most important wine-producing districts. These days, there are almost 20 wineries located within a short distance from the town's centre. The main street of Rutherglen maintains its historical charm, with most of the shop fronts and hotels retaining the same look they had in the 19th century. A short walk from where we had parked Gidget and the boat was Lake King, constructed in 1877 to provide the town's water supply. The lake was named after Daniel King, the local bootmaker, winemaker and active community member. From Lake King we made our way uptown to check out the town's old courthouse built in 1864 and the huge Moreton Bay fig tree planted in 1877. If only a tree could talk. We wandered the street past coffee shops and historic buildings to the railway station, where we encountered 4 enormous colourful contemporary murals painted on the silos titled Birds of Seasons. They were a vibrant piece of artwork that clearly celebrates the local fauna that intuitively guides the rhythm of life in the region. These small, beautiful birds have historically played a vital role in signalling the changing seasons to First Nations people and farmers alike. Each silo is a series representing a specific season, and within their form, intricate details reveal historic markings and stories from the local community. After spending time admiring the artwork, Rick and I wandered back to Gidget and the boat. From Rutherglen we continued along the Murray Valley Highway, past more wineries and on past Lake Moodamere, a huge natural billabong, an offshoot of the mighty Murray River. we crossed the Ovens River, a perennial river of the northeast Murray catchment near Esmond, a small rural community located in northeastern Victoria, with expansive farmlands and natural landscapes. The area is primarily agricultural, with a focus on livestock and crop farming, reflecting the region's strong rural heritage, as well as wineries, olive plantations, and hop farms. We passed crops that had germinated not that long ago and were in need of rain, while other crops were further along and in better condition, as were what I think were fodder crops, very green and healthy looking. From there, the fun began as we followed Google. Apparently, we had not learnt our lesson, so we're in for another section of gravel and dirt roads as we followed farm boundaries, turning left and right around farm blocks, all the while making sure that Google was taking us in the right direction. In sections, the gravel road turned to dirt. That was beginning to turn to bull dust by the grain trucks we had passed, though it was not overly troubling. So it was Munro's, McPhail's, Carmichael's, then White's and Channel Road before we took a left onto Tungamah Road. Overall, it was an interesting endeavour, seeing country we would not have seen had we taken the bitumen. It was interesting to see where farmers were using no-till, where they had planted seeds directly into the soil without prior disturbance from ploughing or tillage, leaving crop residues on the surface, which helps to protect the soil from erosion, conserves moisture and improves overall soil health by preserving organic matter, nutrients and beneficial soil microbes. We have also seen where other farmers have used the traditional method of where they have burnt their stubble as a fast and relatively inexpensive way for them to clear their fields, ready to prepare for the next crop. This method also helps to control pests and manage heavy stubble loads. I think this intentionally but controversial practice would have widespread environmental impacts, including smoke, air pollution and loss of soil nutrients. The practice is subject to strict regulations and requirements in Australia, but thankfully this is no longer a preferred option for many farmers. Tungamah in the Goulburn Valley region of northern Victoria is situated in slightly undulating land, which is surrounded by almost treeless plains. We parked up on Boozy Creek at a donation camp in a lightly wooded area behind the tennis courts. The township was gazetted in 1875, when pastoral runs were being made available for closer settlement. In 1886, the railway line connected Tungamah to Benalla and Yarrawonga, and the population reached its peak. The railway, however, enabled local farmers to transfer their spending to bigger towns, and the population began to slowly decline. In the area, wheat was being grown, dairying carried on, and fat stock raised. The slow decline of the township continued, but the surviving buildings have retained their original outline or appearance. Rick and I spent the afternoon strolling around Tungamah, checking out the first silo to be painted in the northeast Victoria in 2018, and also by the first female silo artist in Australia. The concrete silo was erected in 1944, with the steel silo being constructed beside it a few years later. A large grain shed was added in 1969. The Tungamah silos depict iconic Australian bird life of dancing brolgas, a kookaburra, a galah, kingfisher, a sulphur-crested cockatoo, two small wrens, and a white ibis sitting on a thick foliage of a gum tree. We also checked out the other murals she had painted around town. The murals along the side of the wall near the hotel were so lifelike. I especially enjoyed seeing the Clydesdales as a workhorse used in those early days of settlement. On our return to Gidget, Rick and I sat outside for a while, where I enjoyed the little birds in the tree beside us. As the afternoon crept in, we went for a walk around the camping area, quite a large area on the bend in Bosey Creek, and then back to the bridge. We were then treated to a very orangey sunset. That night, what an experience! To have a possum visit us as we were getting settled for the night. We were camped beside the Bosey Creek close to the bridge, so was surprised by the wildlife we saw, though the nighttime traffic was minimal. After a cold morning, down to 2.5 degrees, we left Tungamah after our morning tea, as we did not have far to go today. We passed Tungamah Swamp Reserve to the crossroads where roadwork was happening on the Benalla-Yarrawonga Road. On the way to Yarrawonga, we stopped at a historic marker, the site of where there was once a Congregational church on the corner of Prescott's Road and Yarrawonga-Benalla Road, while across the road was the site of the South Yarrawonga State School, also called Paloobla State School. Sadly, the marker was very hard to read. South Yarrawonga Primary School, number 2194, was located 6 miles south of Yarrawonga and established in response to a petition from locals. The school opened in 1879 with 20 pupils. By 1902, student numbers had declined, so the Education Department closed the school in 1904. We have seen so many schools, halls, farmhouses, churches and villages left to become ruins or are no longer in existence as the move to more modern times has impacted these communities. There is no longer larger families and multiple workers needed to work the land that built the communities. It is so sad to see where once there was a thriving community that all that remains are ruins. On arriving in Yarrawonga, we parked Gidget and the boat before walking down through town to the edge of Lake Mullewa, formed by a weir on the Murray River. We were again back on the mighty Murray. The huge expanse of Lake Mullewa, with a staggering number of dead, ghostly Red River gums, was a unique sight. We checked out the traditional side-wheeler paddle steamer, the Kumbaroona, that was docked on the lake, but we had not planned to take a cruise on this trip. We strolled along the attractive foreshore on the Victorian side of the lake, where we had a great view of the Mullewa Bridge. The original wooden bridge was completed in 1891, replacing a punt that had operated since 1850, located near the site of the present bridge. The current bridge of concrete and steel structure was completed in 1924, with an unusual bend and dip on the southern Victorian end, before Lake Mullewa was formed in 1939, following construction of the dam wall and weir. As with all border crossings between colonies at the time, custom houses were established to collect duties on goods such as grain and livestock. Rick and I then walked back across the highway to the Visitor Information Centre and the old customs house on the border, where we could see the weir. Yarrawonga was named after a pastoral station taken up by Elizabeth Hume, sister-in-law of the explorer Hamilton Hume, in 1842. A police camp was established at Yarrawonga in about 1850, with the town being surveyed in 1868 and established on the site of the earlier pastoral station. The Yarrawonga Custom House on the border between Victoria and New South Wales was set up to collect import duty and stock taxes on goods moving across the border. This Victorian Customs House would collect duties on primary produce such as wheat, wool and livestock moving south from New South Wales. The railway from Melbourne reached Yarrawonga in 1886, and with the opening of the railway, wheat and livestock were easily transported to Melbourne markets. The line to New South Wales was extended to Oaklands, a break of gauge location in 1922, where it met the existing New South Wales branch line. The town services an area of livestock raising, dairying and fruit farming, and wheat and grape cultivation. Other economic activities include livestock selling, defence equipment manufacturing, and light engineering. After checking out the Custom House Information Centre and the bridge, we walked back up into town to pick up some bread and some lovely meat from the butchers before returning to the boat and gidget. From Yarrawonga we followed number 1 main channel on the Victorian side that distributes water to the southern Riverina region. The closer to Cobram we drove, the more orchards we were seeing, including a wide variety of stone fruits such as peaches, nectarines and cherries, as well as apples, pears, and citrus fruits of lemon and oranges, as well as persimmons. Some are in very, very dry conditions, as the region was experiencing extremely challenging dry weather, resulting in low soil moisture. If I were a farmer, I would definitely be hoping for some timely rain. On arriving in Cobram, we parked up at the RACV resort on the edge of town. After lunch we sat outside enjoying the sun before we went into town to see what was on offer. Cobram is located on the Murray River, which forms the border between Victoria and New South Wales, while just across the waterway is the small border town of Wodonga, which we will visit tomorrow. We did our usual drive around town looking at the historic buildings in the town centre, including the Cobram Hotel and the law offices built in 1892, the Masonic Lodge built in 1888. We found a park beside the old Cobram railway station near Parklands, where we could check out the reassembled log cabin dating back to 1874, when Richard Moore Toms with his 6 sons left Colac in Western Victoria to settle on land 3 miles south of Yarrawonga. It is one of the original log homes made from large boxwood trees covered with a bark roof and has earthen floors. The Murray River around Cobram features some attractive sandy beaches lined with towering red river gum trees, and we visited Thompson's Beach, located near the bridge over the river to Wodonga. The river twists and turns through a thick state forest with native bushlands and wetlands. It really was a stunning beach. We strolled down to the curve in the river to check out the old De Burgh Truss Road Bridge over the river. I hope you have enjoyed this episode. Join us next time as we check out Wodonga, continue on the Riverina Highway and then the Newell Highway to Berrigan and Jerilderie before returning via Finlay and Tocumwal. Stay safe and enjoy life. Cheers for now. Rick and Rosemary. R&R Livin' Life.